Hi and welcome to Beyond the Racing Line, the Formula One podcast by fans, for fans. Season 2023 is upon us. We are at the week of race week. We've seen liveries. We've seen the release of Drive to Survive. We've been to testing. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the season is here finally. I've got Tristan here to join me to talk all things season 2023. How excited are you?
Hello, mate. Hello, everyone.
For this season.
I am so pumped. Last week I felt that we were in I felt it was a little bit of a rut with things we were talking about.
A bit of treading.
Just looking for things to chat about. But now, I reckon since yesterday, I am buzzed and I am ready to go. And I cannot wait for free practice one. It's here.
It is so close.
I'm up and about. I'm up and about in a big way.
I like to paint the picture of when we're recording because podcast land, you can hear anytime.
It's glamorous. And
it is a Tuesday night, our time. To put everyone into perspective, that means that we're going to free practice on Friday night. So we're not far away.
Yep.
Not far away, and everyone else, I'm sure, is very keen to get into the season.
And you mentioned Drive to Survive. How are you going episode-wise? Because you're slack.
It took me a year to watch last one. I watched last one a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
This time, I'm right into it. I've watched 2.
Jesus Christ. 2. I'm up to 7. And I would have finished if
your wife would move
my
Does your partner watch?
No.
See,
but watches another show while I've got it on.
Part of my hold-up is that my partner Tara, my wife Tara, wants to watch with me, which is great.
Okay, yeah.
She never really shows that much interest in Formula One.
Yeah.
She somehow always knows the results.
Which is, sometimes it's just perfect.
Yep. So because Drive to Survive obviously suckers everyone in.
Yep.
Yeah, she's keen, so I've got to wait for her, but also it means that I generally watch. I very rarely watch something without Tara.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I don't have that much interest in TV.
See, I reckon we have separate shows, which is fine, because Carly's watching Grey's Anatomy at the moment, which is great, and she'll watch that while I'm watching Drive to Survive. Which is okay, because you know me when it's on, I don't talk to anyone.
My big issue with it at the moment is that I'm so keyed and excited for this season.
Right. I
don't have that enough interest in last season.
Yeah,
it's funny, because I'm enjoying watching it. Like, oh yeah, I forgot that happened. Oh yeah, that was last season. But I just want all things 2023. I'm not that worried about 2022.
That's because you've got to to binge through it, and get it done and get it out of the way, so that when it comes, I have every intention by Thursday to have it finished.
Yeah,
and then I can be like, great, I'm done with testing. I'm done with Drive to Survive, and now I can focus on...
Pure focus
on the season at hand.
This is the season preview, and we're going to get into all sorts of things. We've got some big questions about all the teams. We're going to make our big predictions. We're launching Fantasy. That's right, Fantasy is finally launched. For whatever reason, the Formula One world decided that they would wait until last week to open it up so that we could actually post some codes and get everyone on board. So do yourself a favour, get on board... The Fantasy F1, because Dr. Auto Art, as he did last year, Chris from Dr. Auto Art is putting up the prizes, and the prizes are fantastic. You get your choice of
driver in the artwork.
Yep. And he sent through a few of the pictures of the ones that were chosen last year, and they were absolutely magnificent.
Awesome.
And we had lots of people involved last year.
Yeah, 113 teams last year, which is great.
Yep.
So I have put a restriction on it, though, for this year, just one team per entry.
Yep.
Which is fine. I'm okay with that. And so we're looking to beat that, or I reckon match it. I think we'd easily get 100 teams in there taking us on.
I reckon absolutely. So do yourself a favour and go and check out our socials. It's on the Instagram. It's on the Facebook.
Yep, we'll be sharing it all week long.
Yep. Codes
are there, ready to go. Jump in, be part of it.
Yep, absolutely. So if you're not on either of those, swing us a message.
Yep, or listen out. We've got a special fantasy podcast coming up.
Exactly.
Later on, and we'll launch the code, and we're going to reveal our teams and all that kind of stuff. So tune into that one.
And then there'll be a bit of news.
Great.
Will Mr. Stroll race or will he not? And that's the big question.
That's the big question, isn't it?
Getting into an episode, we always start with an opening question. This one's been a traditional opening question. Who's your dream race call team?
Dream call team.
So commentary team
broadcast
broadcast team.
Yep.
Who are you putting together? Because I really, through testing, and we'll talk about testing in a minute.
Yes.
I really enjoyed having the two different teams
so
involved in that.
Yes, we talked about this earlier.
It was wonderful to have that variety and to have the different personalities on there. And my goodness, I wish that they could do something like that, because I'm really attached to all the Sky Sports guys.
Yes.
But I don't care if they go. Johnny Herbert, I love Johnny Herbert. I love Damon Hill.
Yep.
Paul DiResta, fantastic.
Yes, I like Paul.
Fantastic. And then the rest of the team that's staying on, brilliant people. I feel like they're part of the family.
Yep.
But it is well and truly time for some changes.
Yes.
And so, it brought up the question: who is your dream call team?
Who's my dream call team?
So let's start with commentators.
Okay, yep.
I'll put them together. So
all right.
Commentator calls the most of the race. So David Croft is the Sky Sports commentator.
Yep.
Who are you going to for your call?
For my actual call?
Yep.
If I'm going to pick someone for the actual call, I think Martin Brundle is good at the call.
No, well, he does the special comments.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
You're doing...
Do I have to choose from
No, I want the main caller, then I'll get your support act.
Okay, can I not change... I can't change the roles around?
I don't... Well, you could give it a go.
I thought that's what we were doing here. I thought we were changing the roles.
You reckon Martin can call...
I think Martin would be a great call.
All the moves.
Yeah.
See, Martin just relies on being able to add the extra.
I think Martin would be very much into calling the whole thing.
I don't know. He barely gets to all the races.
I'd like to have Martin for the full call.
All right. So who's backing him up then?
So who's backing out with special comments?
In the box. So there's special comments in the box and there's special comments around the track.
Yep. I think in the box for special comments, I would like to have Button.
Yep.
I think
Jensen Button for me.
I think Jensen
is a lock, but he can't pull the weight by himself.
No.
He actually needs support. So I'm putting 3 in my commentary team.
Okay.
I'm going with Ben Edwards.
Yep. Yeah, I like Ben Edwards.
I like Crofty.
Yep.
But he annoys me like he annoys everybody else.
Sure.
So I'm going with Ben Edwards.
Yep.
From F1 TV. I think he was at Channel 4 at one stage.
I think so, yeah.
And then I'm putting in Jensen Button.
Yep.
And Mark Webber.
Okay, I don't mind that.
They're my backups.
Yep.
I quite like Martin Brundle.
Yep.
And I'd probably be happy for them to rotate through.
Yep.
So there's 2 in their box at any one time.
Cool.
But they're my people at the moment.
All right, well, I'm going to go Martin for the main call.
Yep.
JB for special comments.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to throw Naomi Sheaf in there as well.
Oh, good.
I really like the just the insights that she brings.
Yep.
So I'm going to go the opposite path. I'm going to go an all-female sort of team.
Yep.
I highly rate Danica Patrick.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't, and I know when we go to Miami and we go to Aston and we do the Americas that a lot of people find her irritating, which I'm not quite sure why, because she's a proven racer and has an incredible pedigree in American motorsport. And I think what she brings in terms of an insight into a race weekend, I love hearing from her in the American.
I really like her too, but I understand where everyone's coming from.
Okay.
She's bringing too much of other motorsport, trying to bring that into Formula 1.
I don't mind the comparison.
I don't mind it in a little bit, but it's not always directly. There's some direct links that she sometimes makes, which I don't know. I think she needs to be around Formula 1 a bit more.
Okay.
But I hopefully that will grow in time.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, fair.
Cool. All right. So I'll be absolutely. Naomi would
Sheaf
be within my team.
Yes.
And so, who's your pit lane rover?
So my pit lane rover.
Or
Roma.
Rover. There's a few people. I mean, everyone knows I'm a Ted man. I'm always in for Ted.
It has to be someone who would cause havoc. Really.
Yep. Well, not necessarily on pit lane. Like they're getting the up-to-date information from the teams.
I wouldn't
dropping in, poking the nose in.
I'd want to go with someone like DiResta. I like Anne. I don't mind Lawrence Beretta as well.
Yep.
Just something different.
Yep.
Maybe Anthony Davison.
Okay.
I like Anne. I think he does a really good job.
Yep.
Yeah. Insightful, technical, all that kind of stuff.
Yep. And then then they've got the presentation team.
Yep.
Within the paddock.
Yep.
That does all the other bits and pieces. So you've got someone hosting that, Sky Sports. It's it is Simon Lazenby.
Yes, yeah.
So who's your director of that?
I think director of that, I'll go with Lawrence Beretta.
Lawrence Beretta.
Yep.
Does Will Buxton get around?
I was about to say probably Will and him would share, because I like Will. I think he's I think he's almost iconic in the F1 world now, isn't he?
Well,
he really is.
Drives to Survive.
If he wasn't already, he absolutely is now. So I think Will and Lawrence share that role for me.
Yep. He's a little bit trendier than the Sky Sports guys. You see the traditional, and then you see the bit more trendy sort of style.
Yep.
I quite like Will too.
Yep.
But I don't mind the way. I don't mind the way that they go about it with Sky for this part of it.
Yep.
I don't mind David Croft, but I want someone a little bit newer. So I want to see Seb involved. I want Seb involved in a few of the special comments.
Yep.
We know where Nico Rosberg came in last year.
Yeah.
I want Seb in that role.
Comments.
And
dungeon.
I would be way more interested in seeing Seb doing it with the bees or something like that. So yeah, they're the major changes. Then I'm happy to have Natalie Pinkin. I'll be interested to see. I mean, because they've axed quite a few. I used to like what Damon Hill and Johnny Herbert would bring to the team. So yeah, I'd like to see DC in there and Mark doing a little bit of those sorts of things as well. And then as much as Jolyon Palmer as well, I'm happy to see him involved.
Oh yeah,
because he's an interesting guy, and I quite enjoy his work as well. Anyone else you want to add to your team?
I think that's sort of it.
Yep,
less is more.
Testing takeaways.
Testing. Let's go. Oh, I'm so excited.
How did you... We got to see testing. We got to see every minute of testing.
Which is awesome.
8.5 hours every day.
Yep.
And it is as boring as anything. Listen to my comment. It's as boring as anything watching those cars go around and not really do anything anymore because they've become a bit more reliable.
Yep.
However, the offside of that is you get Formula One chat by good Formula One people for 8.5 hours. And that is brilliant. It makes everything. It's the sort of thing you can have on and watch fairly intensely while doing something else.
Sure.
You can watch it as you're doing something else and
casually,
just know that it's there.
Just have it on in the background.
Or you can pass through the house.
Yes.
Having it on.
Yep.
And you find yourself pausing there for a good 5 minutes as you catch up on some of the information.
Which is exactly what I was doing. I found myself taking rubbish out, and then I'd be standing in the lounge room for about 5 or 10 minutes.
That's where you've got it on.
Tell me to move on.
Yeah, and so you just sort of pause there, and you're like, I've got to keep on doing things.
Yep.
It's a weird thing that it should be boring as anything because nothing's really happening for us.
No, true, yes.
And not even the commentators could really bring us too much information as what was happening in the team.
It was a very sort of day 3 cricket commentary.
But just having some Formula One like that running, I thought was really entertaining, and I love, like we said, we love the way they switched the commentary teams.
Yep,
they switch over there.
Keeps you
There
engaged.
was enough people sort of bringing you updates of what was happening on track, but they had a range of big issues. The people were nice and relaxed that were on, that were creating the conversations, and it was really great.
Yeah, I thought so too. Do you think it's because it's the first time we've actually had such immense access to it? Because here in Australia, we have had years gone by where we haven't had access to the Sky Sports before, or a lot of that video broadcast has been restricted down under.
Yep.
But this year, I mean, I can't think of another time that I have been so engrossed in testing.
Well, we used to be engrossed in it because we couldn't get it.
Yeah,
it was you were scaring. You're continually updating on the internet, trying to get updates.
And I was constantly flicking through Twitter and looking at a time or a live feed. But I do think that we had it there at our fingertips, and we could watch it for quite an extended amount of time.
Absolutely.
And I probably enjoyed it more than anything before. But you're right; it's so bizarre to think that absolutely no racing at all whatsoever.
Yep.
But just watching slow laps and long runs, and driver in and out, and tyre testing as well. It was just. Yeah, it was fascinating, and I just found myself drawn into everything. But you're right, commentary was incredibly insightful.
Yeah.
Some of the best commentary I've ever had in Formula One, ever.
And they did a bloody good job of it.
They did an incredibly good job.
8.5 hours every day.
Which is great.
To fill.
Yep,
and
definitely.
I thought they did a great job. What was some of your takeaways from testing?
So some of the takeaways, in a general snapshot, front wings look to be really different. And I think that's going to be the discussion point early on because of the technical regulations that some look to have found a loophole with, which is the little shark fin separators that Mercedes was running in, I want to say Brazil from last year, but I've probably got that horribly wrong. Looks like Ferrari's got that. Looks like Mercedes have found a little bit of a way around that too. And Haas have some really insightful and different aero features to their front wing too. So I took away from that front wings are going to be much talked about, much maligned, and I would expect to see maybe round 5 or 6, someone's going to get a bit of a slap on the wrist and say...
Well, Ferrari's already come out and said that they've already had the tick of approval.
Yes. I think someone will do something that's just not quite right.
It's interesting that Ferrari's come out and said it, but we haven't really heard too much from the FIA.
No.
Yet.
So I would expect to see that 90% will be legal, but someone will just push the boundaries.
Yep.
There seem to be all eyes on Haas and what they've done with their aero features because they have the most wind tunnel time. So because they've got the most wind tunnel time, people are watching what they're doing and then looking to see if that's efficient and effective or not. So front wings was a big takeaway. McLaren were my big takeaway as well, and they look like they are in a world of pain. They really do, and that I don't really know what to think with that. They look in serious trouble, more so than what the lap times said. And the other testing takeaway is Aston maybe have got it all together. In a big way.
There's a couple...
Maybe.
You're touching on a few of the big questions that we've got going
Anyway,
on
they're
here.
my takeaways. They're my takeaways as well. My last takeaway is the AlphaTauri kind of didn't look too bad.
On track?
In real life.
Oh, see, I thought it looked worse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it looked not too bad because we talked about this last week.
Yeah, and once he was assuring us that it was going to grow on us as soon as we saw it.
And it's kind of... Yeah, it was all right.
I'm reserving until I see it in real life.
Okay, I'm not hating it like I was last week when I saw it and thought, geez, that doesn't work. Yeah, it looked all right. I'm not jumping up and down saying I love it, but yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
So the way we're going to do our review show is we're going to ask some big questions of each team.
Sure.
Okay.
And I've got heaps of testing stats too.
Feel free to throw us back a few at me if you'd like to. Is there a testing stat you want to run with before we get started?
Yes, let's do most laps by the top 10 drivers. So Alonso, 270 laps. Nick De Vries, 246. Logan Sargent, 229. Hamilton, 220. Magnussen, 219. Sainz, 218. Albon, 210. Tsunoda, 210. Perez, 209. And Max, 204.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
Considering most race weekends would be about 50, 60.
Yeah, well, you're looking at nearly three race distances.
Yeah, and that's just for individual drivers.
Yes.
Yeah, so
anyway,
teams have got plenty of laps under their belt.
Yep, good.
It was good to see some good reliability. I mean, reliability issues can cause some interest in races.
Yep.
But it's not true racing, though, is it really? When cars are breaking down, you're not really getting that excitement. You're just getting a bit of a mix-up.
This is what testing is for. You go to push your parts to the limit or find what the breaking point of them might be, maybe without breaking them.
Yep.
So, in a way, a little part of it you do want to break down because then okay, power unit or engine map, I know that that's the absolute threshold, so I'm going to break it here. So that in round, 18, when the championship's on the line, and I think about turning it up, I know that it's not going to break. So, yeah, I do get annoyed at some fans who jump online and are like, oh, here we go again. Like the Aston broke down, day 2, lap 9, something ridiculous like that, and everyone's jumping up and down. It was day 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's jumping up and down going, oh my God, look at Alonso. He's gone to the garbage team. It's not happening again. 2 days later... They've pumped in the most laps and he's done 3.5 nearly full Grand Prix distances. So, yeah, I get frustrated at things like that because I think some people forget that testing is exactly that. We are just testing what's going on.
Absolutely. Red Bull. We're going to start with Red Bull. We're going to go through some big questions.
We're going to go through teams?
We know they're going to be strong. There is absolutely no doubt about that.
I would say untouchable.
They didn't put a foot wrong through testing. But will the development questions, and this is where the big question is, will the development questions and restrictions cause them any grief? Or will it be over before the teams can catch them up and put them under pressure? That's my big question for this season. Because I just see this season where Red Bull's going to come out firing. Yep. I'm hoping they can be matched. Mm-hmm. I'm not convinced Ferrari's not out of this. But I know they're going to be ahead of pretty much everyone else to start with.
Yep.
Are they going to have too big a gap before the restrictions come in, or before restrictions start causing them issues because they got to deal with them now?
Yep.
and the other teams start to catch up, because they're going to develop, the other teams, and Red Bull's going to develop, but will there be any issue with that?
I think that they will have a stop work period, I guess is probably what I call it, but they'll have enough points in the bank to probably still take it home.
Yeah. I mean, this year they've started working on next year's car by about mid-season.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, last year, by about mid-season. If they just bring that back a little bit, they're probably going to find that time pretty quick on the main guys. The other guys are going to be developing all the way through.
That's right.
And I'm hoping it's going to be a big catch-up year.
Yeah.
These rules where you get a certain amount of time to develop, depending on where you finished last year, that's going to start to come in place over the next couple of years. It's not going to be all one season. Well, Williams finished last, so they're going to catch up in one season because they got all the extra.
Yeah.
That advantage happens this season, which helps them next season.
Yes.
And the season after that. So it's not necessarily we're going to see the big movements this season. We're going to see it next season because they're going to be able to continue that development for longer than everyone else.
Yeah. I think when I look at images from testing, like the flow vis down the side pod, and I don't know if you saw that image of just the flow vis on it that showed the aero path. When you look at that photo, I've got it here, it was literally perfection.
Yeah.
In every way, shape and form. When you looked at what everyone else was doing with their flow vis, and it was sort of, a little bit sporadic here and there was a bit of wash on some of the cars. You looked at that image of the Red Bull, you couldn't... It was almost like you sat there and someone hand-painted it on.
Yep.
It was literally perfection.
It looked like they put it where they wanted to see it.
Exactly. And you could literally see the curved path of the air flowing around the side pods, and it was... It was incredible to look at and think, wow. And when I saw that image, that's what made me think these guys are just in a whole nother league to the rest. I agree with you. I think there will be aspects of the season where it should be close because last year Ferrari shot themselves in the foot. So I don't expect that to happen this year. But yeah, they look scary.
Weight's no longer a problem.
No, they look scary.
That's a worry for everyone.
Yes.
Weight's no longer a problem.
Yep.
The suspicion is that they didn't really turn things up too much at testing anyway.
Understandable.
Yep.
And you made a comment the other week about I think it was like the carbon fibre on the bottom of it. Are they going to have more black than they were going to have the navy blue? And it looks like they do, and you can't see it. There's a couple of close-up shots, so it's just under the Oracle.
Yeah, I think Losky was talking about that, but they had that last year. They did have it last year.
But you're right, it's difficult to see in blended with the blue. So anyway, yes.
So that's. I feel like that's the big question for Red Bull.
Sure.
How much of a lead can they get before people start pegging them back a little bit and the restrictions start to just... I don't think they're going to have a huge effect this year because I think they're going to be able to spread it out across the year and just make it work for them, and they've got such a good lead. But can the teams catch them up towards the end of the year when things start getting a bit tight? Ferrari, for me, changes have been made, but will their quiet confidence result in a serious and sustained title fight? And that's the big question.
Yeah.
I worry that they've got rid of Matteo Binotto. I think they probably could have kept him within the team. We had a chat about this on the phone the other day.
Yes, we did, yes.
I reckon they could have kept him in the team because there was so much right about what happened last year.
Yep.
There was so much wrong about what happened last year.
Yep.
But maybe they needed to bring in people for the extra support.
Yeah. Maybe. I've read a couple of reports already that what Fred Vasseur has done is he started to take some people who were trackside this year and has sent them off-site back to be factory-based. And I don't mind that.
Chief strategist, one of them.
Which I think is good because we know that strategy was their big Achilles heel.
It was.
And he's come in and gone, right, you no longer need to be sitting here at the track, you need to be back, at home base, looking at screens, making decisions in what could very much be a distraction-free environment. So I like that, and look, I think the addition of Fred, as much as probably more after watching Drive to Survive, to be quite honest, starting to warm to Mattia a little bit more. Not that I disliked him, but Fred is a seasoned, old-school, hardened racer who has come through the ranks of Formula One for years in this position.
Yep.
So I think that's what is going to hold Ferrari in good stead. And for him to have the confidence to come in, it's such an early point of his career and tenure here at Ferrari, and to say, right, you're factory base, you're out of here, kind of tells me that he's got a plan and he knows what he's doing, and he's got examples in the past that have worked really well that he can rely on too. So
they're pretty confident about where their engine's at now. They should be able to run it at full power or closer to what it's at, what they're designed to be at, which was a forward-thinking move, similar to what Alpine was doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, I think Ferrari didn't necessarily show how good they were. I think there's a lot more to come from Ferrari.
I think there's heaps more to come too.
And didn't really put a foot wrong through testing.
No, they didn't either last year though. The difference for me is going to be what happens in the garage with technical team, with your strategy team, with the calls that are being made. That's what I will judge, and I think a lot of fans will judge Ferrari on this year. I think they've got the speed on track. They've got two incredible drivers. Leclerc is set and bound and ready to be a world champion. I'm fully convinced of that. Sainz can easily win a handful of races this year. So I think on track, they're perfectly primed and set. It's off track that they have the issue, which is what Red Bull don't have that issue.
Yep.
Because they've got Horner, they've got Adrian Newey, they've got, Sabina, all there ready to go. And, yeah.
Let's move to Mercedes. They're pinning everything on these updates that they've got coming. They're not happy with where the car is, but they're happy with where it's going to be.
Yep.
I've never seen a team nail their updates perfectly before. Can they make this work straight away before it's too late? Generally, it takes a bit of betting in time.
I think so too.
But it is Mercedes. They're capable of things that others aren't necessarily.
I think not. I think not. I worry about their design. To see, you've got your benchmark in Red Bull, and to see most of the field look at the two title contenders from last year, and a lot have gone in either the Red Bull direction, which looks to have worked, or they've gone in the Ferrari direction, or it's a little bit of an amalgamation of either or both.
No one's going towards Mercedes, are they?
Yes. No one is going towards Mercedes, and and I applaud them for sticking with it. But they knew all last season their philosophy was not quite right, and the DNA of the car was not quite right, and they're still stuck with the zero pod design, even though it has expanded a little bit too. I'm not quite sure about the bulkhead on the top. It looks to be doing exactly what a side pod is doing, from what I've read and seen. So then the question that I would ask is, why would you not just go with a side pod? Especially when you see the images coming out of Red Bull and a couple of the other teams as well. Even the Alpine, for example, running the channels across the side pod too. So I read that there will be expected to be aero changes probably round 4, round 5.
Baku is the aim.
Yep. I don't know. I think not. I really don't. I think they've got it wrong, and they're probably further off than what we expect.
I think last year they even got it together well enough.
They did.
Everyone else stopped, and they were trying to develop. But mind you, they had less development time than anyone, really.
That's exactly right.
Less as
and
anyone.
Look, they could very well have banked that towards the end of the season.
I think it's just going to take a bit longer. It's going to take a bit longer than what they're just hoping to put some updates onto the car, and all of a sudden it's going to go fast. You got to understand it, you got to make it work, and then you got to make it work with tyres and all those other things. I just think it's going to take a bit long. Alpine, they were 4th in the championship last year. We're going to talk about them now.
Yep.
What are they showing us?
They're not really showing a huge amount, I don't think, at the moment.
If any team's keeping their cards close to their chest,
it's Alpine. I'm intrigued by their aero package. I really am, because it's not quite like anything else.
Yep.
But you're right. I can't get a read on them, whether they're miles ahead, whether they've stayed stagnant, or they've gone behind either.
Yep.
So in terms of the lap time gains from Bahrain last year to Bahrain this year, they're the only team showing in a deficit.
Yep.
So 0.064 seconds compared to last year. But then that goes to exactly what you're saying. Like, are they just keeping their cards really, really close to their chest?
They were in no way expressing concern about where they were at.
No, there wasn't. You almost didn't hear from them. They were invisible.
Well, it was, our programs have been running beautifully.
Yep.
We're happy with where things are going.
Yep.
Teams can't be happy if they're going backwards.
Well, that's exactly right.
And not that you would necessarily go and tell everyone that, but you wouldn't necessarily just toe the line of everything's fine.
Absolutely not. But like we say, we have no idea what they were running, what fuel loads, what engine mapping they were running either. So it could have been just 3 days of long runs, to be quite honest, and maybe they know what the qualifying pace is. But it's almost impossible to get a read on.
McLaren, they were 5th in the championship last year.
Dear.
Is this so McLaren's in a world of pain. We've mentioned that already briefly. Is this a free kick for Oscar? Because he's got this really low expectation on him and the team this year.
Absolutely. Oscar can do really as he pleases this year. I totally agree with you. It's a free kick now. Now it's a free kick. If they were flying and were looking at being third fastest, you would go, all right, we kind of expect a little bit more from you. Yeah,
well, that's right, because Dan cost the team points last year.
Absolutely.
In comparison to Lando.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, Dan would be sitting back laughing, looking
at
what's going on.
More and more you hear that people are saying that no one really could have driven that car.
Yep.
Lando was a bit of a freak that he loved it on the knife edge and over the knife edge a bit.
Yep, absolutely.
And I'll tell you what, my concern is Lando and his headspace. We've talked about Lando and his headspace before. I love Lando Norris. I think he's a great driver. Yep. I'm concerned already he's looking stressed and he's looking like he's made a wrong decision.
Reports of punching walls and doors and windows on the way out of testing. Yep. Not a good sign from really your man who's leading your team now.
Absolutely.
But I think Oscar gets that. He gets 12 months of, in a way, he kind of gets Mick's year, not last year, the year before.
Yep.
There's no expectation now. I mean, I said a couple of weeks ago that I thought he'd beat, a few drivers here and there. To be quite honest, he could come dead last, and I think everyone would be totally fine with that because we all have looked and read and looked. Most of the reports I expect to be pretty spot on. Even McLaren have come out themselves and said we have missed our efficiency updates by a long way. Which is a concern. There's far too much drag on that car.
They're once again, they're a team that thinks that the upgrades are going to fix things, and they are absolutely sure that they've got some good updates to come.
Yep.
But once again, you've got to kick them in.
Yep.
I think they're going to improve throughout the season, which I think will be the nice warm-up for Oscar.
Yep.
And then the pressure will come once they can start performing.
But that's a sort of little bit of what last year went, wasn't it?
It was.
They started slow and they improved, and you can't start a season like that in Formula 1.
Absolutely.
It's not sustainable, and it's not going to win you championships if you're not even going to start getting it together until mid-year. So what do you reckon? How close to the bottom in the pecking order would you put McLaren?
I think they'll be third last. I think they'll be fourth last. I've got 3 below them. By the end of the season, at the start of the season, I think they'll be lower than that.
I'm going to say second last.
I had them there, but I think they will do that improving across the year better than the other teams around them.
I could even go as far to say last.
It'd be interesting. Interesting. We can discuss that in a minute.
Right.
Aston Martin, are they the real deal? That's the only question anyone needs to ask. Are they the real deal? There is far too many people, and we can get lost in testing, absolutely. And there'll be people screaming at us right now saying, you idiots, you've just told us that testing doesn't mean anything. Why are you getting so carried away? There are too many people that were at testing that saw the car on track and said that it looked settled while doing some really fantastic times.
And then you've got Alonso at the helm of it.
And then you've got some people that have broken down the data, and the data is suggesting everything about that car being really, really competitive. Like competitive enough to be in the contention with the top 3
podiums.
By the data.
Frequent podiums.
By the data. Now, once everyone starts turning things up, I expect it's going to drop off slightly.
Okay.
But that puts them maybe the first team in a long time to be pushing the top 3. Not necessarily winning a world championship, but pushing a top 3. That's are they the real deal is just a question we've got to have.
I'm going to say yeah.
I mean,
I think this is the year. It's been a slow burn. It's been a really strategic and set out path. The factory's here. They've taken their time. They've lost the experience in Seb, even though they brought him in, but then they've quickly replaced it with more experience in Fernando as well. And who has led teams before, and I just think that this is the year that they take that big step in preparation for what I think Lawrence said. What he wanted 5 years, he wanted to be contending for titles. I think this is the big step.
I think it was a different sport. Most people wouldn't have problems believing it, but no one's broken into that top 3 for a really, really long time.
No, that's
not consistently.
No,
and so that's what we're looking for.
And it takes a long time too.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
It does.
This type of thing takes you a long time, but all the building blocks seem to slowly be falling into place.
Yep.
They'll get their wind tunnel, and I think they'll be okay. And I would expect frequent podiums to not be an unrealistic target for Aston this year.
Yep.
I really do. I think Mercedes are going to have a big say in it as well. It depends on whether they've stayed stagnant or if they've actually fallen off, because I don't expect Mercedes to improve.
At all?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez, you're downbeat about them. You forget very quickly.
I do.
Alfa Romeo, Audi isn't the name yet, but they've invested.
Yeah.
This is the year where they start those building blocks. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
It feels like there's a real building momentum behind this
Andreas
team.
Seidel has arrived.
Feels like, dare I say it without getting carried away because they haven't actually achieved it yet, feels like the Aston Martin of 3 years ago.
Ooh.
Would you not agree? They're starting to bring the people in. They're starting to do the building. They're taking it really seriously. I feel like this is the building blocks. Now, that doesn't mean that they improve this year.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're going to start to shake a few things out. Yep. Their big issue was the cooling last year, and they'd messed up that big time. It was going to be really expensive to fix. They've got that sorted, so they're ready to go this year.
Yep. They
were showing good signs. What do you reckon?
I'm not quite sure.
No, never am I. Don't worry about that.
It's either... It sounds ridiculous, but it's either going to work really, really, really well, all the steps that they've taken, or it's going to fail miserably. I don't think that they're going to have a stagnant period where it's going to stay the same. It's either a big step forward or it's a big step back. Yeah,
I think it'll be that slow build for a little while.
Okay. In terms of lap time from last year to this year, so Alpha are looking at a 2.1 second improvement on last year, which is actually third on the list. So.
Yeah, the signs were good from testing. They were pretty happy with themselves.
Yeah, very good, very good. And Valtteri just looks happy.
Yep.
Confident.
Zhou. I reckon Zhou's going to be... We'll talk about him later, but
okay.
I reckon Zhou's going to be a one to watch because he's been a bit stagnant. He hasn't really shone in Formula 1 yet.
Yes.
This is his year.
If the car is quick and it's capable... then you would expect he has to do something.
He looked a lot more comfortable in testing.
Yeah.
AlphaTauri.
AlphaTauri, I don't know. It's 50-50 again with them. They're a 1.7 second improvement on last year.
Yep.
Based on their fastest lap in testing. They were a fair way off. I don't know. Some people are saying they're the dark horse, not doing a great deal in testing.
I'm not convinced by it.
I'm not convinced. When I look at those ahead of them with a 2 second, a 2 second, a 2 second, a 1.4 second sort of lap time improvement, yeah, they've probably not done enough to impact that. So although the improvement is there, those around them have improved more, which leaves them exactly where they were.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot from them. I'm not sure Nick and Yuki are the people to drive that team forward.
I think Nick is. Jury's still out on Yuki.
I'm not concerned about Nick as a racer.
Yeah.
Driving a team forward is my concern.
Yep.
So, I mean, he's had some experience in other racing formulas, but yeah, that's one of my concerns. Haas, some good times. They're pretty happy with where they're at.
Yeah.
Experienced driver coming in.
Yep. I think Hulk's going to take a while to find his feet again, to be quite honest.
Yeah, he's not giving the signs like Magnussen did.
No.
Is a good times ahead for Haas?
Maybe. They're only a 0.8 of a second improvement on last year's testing. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to say no.
Yep,
no.
And Williams.
Seems
to be in a better place.
The most improved from last year, 2.378.
My question for Williams, they seem to be in a better place, but is everyone else in a more better place? And now that's a funny sentence, but what I'm trying to say is similar to what you were mentioning with AlphaTauri.
Yep.
I'm absolutely sure they've improved.
I think so too.
But has everyone else improved as well, and they're still going to be in that spot?
I'm actually going to say no for them. They're going to be the opposite. I think that they've improved more than AlphaTauri. They've improved far more than what Haas is.
Great reliable test.
Yep. They haven't improved as much. Oh, they're probably slightly ahead of Alfa Romeo, sorry. Yes, I actually... and then their streaks ahead of what Alpine have shown us. But again, we don't know what it is that Alpine has shown us yet.
Yep.
So yeah, I expect them for the first time they'll be off the bottom of the ladder.
Oh, I'm interested.
And I reckon they will be knocking at around 12, 13.
I'll get you to lock it in.
Yeah.
I'll get you to lock it in later on.
Okay, yep.
Which race... that's all our teams.
Okay, teams, yep.
Which race are you most looking forward to?
Which race am I looking forward to the most? Look, probably this weekend, to be quite honest.
It's
Bahrain.
So good to be back,
is what I'm looking forward to most. Yep, I really am.
I'm really looking forward to Australia. I'm so keen to see this fourth DRS zone, which has been re-released. Yep. I think it's going to make some great changes for Australia. I'm really looking forward to Australia.
I think so too.
But at risk of us both just choosing really obvious ones because we want to go the first one. Yeah. The other one for me is I'm really looking forward to Suzuka. I felt like we were robbed of Suzuka last year.
Yes, you said it's hit a sore point, hasn't it?
Yeah, I feel like we were robbed because the weather didn't play the right game. I was looking forward to getting there and seeing a proper race.
Sure.
And I want to see these cars there in a proper race. So Suzuka for me is the one that I'm really looking forward to. Is there another one other than just the excitement of the first race? I mean, you're either favourite. Singapore probably fits in that same boat, doesn't it? Because we had that weird race where the track never dried.
Yeah, we did have a weird race. No, I think just at the moment right now, it's really round one that I'm pumped for. I mean, I would if I was to comment on anything else, it would just be my favourite tracks.
Yep.
There's nothing else I'm really keen to see how we perform.
Yep.
So yeah.
All right. I want to hear some more predictions from you.
Okay. Yep.
What will be the talking point of the season?
What will be the talking point of the season? The talking point of the season...
What's going to be the thing that just keeps us going? Last year, we probably had talking points was the Red Bull cost cap issue.
Yep.
And probably the demise of... porpoising. They were the two major talking points, weren't they?
Yes, they're going to be. I think the two talking points of the season...
You don't have to give me two. You're going to have one.
Oh, okay. Talking point of the season... I think it's going to be Perez. And very much a Valtteri George situation.
Wow.
I think that's going to be a talking point. I think every time Perez goes out on track, the media, per se, is just going to be watching.
Because Ricciardo's
because Danny's
backup driver.
Yep, he's just there.
Yep.
So I think that's going to be the talking point most weekends where Perez doesn't quite get it together.
Yep. Okay. Yep. For me, I feel like it's going to be... Can the teams bring back Red Bull? I think Red Bull's just going to start really well, and if that isn't it, it'll be what can Formula One do to bring them back? Sure. And it doesn't necessarily get talked about enough, but now that there's such a big audience, they can't afford to have a Mercedes. 7-year run.
Like you look at 2016 where they were 2.5 seconds.
They can't wait for 26 for that to happen. And so I think that'll be the talking point because Formula One's bigger than it's ever been. Yeah. It is bigger than it's ever been. Whether it's better than it's ever been,
it's the most
that's
global,
a different question.
I feel.
Absolutely. It's huge thanks to Drive to Survive and all the extra audiences and all the races. So they can't afford to have this championship that doesn't really exist year after year. And so I think that'll be the talking point if Red Bull run away with it. I'm not convinced they will. I think that we might actually see this really close finish where can they get there? Can they get there? It's just about whether all those teams can pick up enough points while they're not on top.
I think the other talking point that's going to kind of be there if you're someone who's going to pay close attention to it, if that Aston is as quick as what we're all predicting and saying that it is, then Lance has to do something with it. And if he doesn't...
Oh, I like this.
I know that we talk about it a lot, but we have to seriously ask that question because if that is a podium, getting machine,
the media have to ask that question.
They have
because
to.
There's a little bit of like, we don't want to be disrespectful and we don't want to piss.
We don't want to upset Lawrence.
Yeah. Yep. Well, no. If it's any other team, you're asking that question.
That's exactly right.
So ask the question.
That's exactly right. So I think we have to. If we get, let's say we get to round 6. And Alonso's had 2 podiums, and they're quick, and they're frequently top 4, and Lance isn't achieving those things, you have to ask that serious question and go, is he the right man for this team?
Now, with the big talking point at the moment with his wrist,
yes,
he is behind the 8 ball big time. I mean, he might miss the first 2 races. He might miss the first 3.
Yes.
We're not entirely sure.
No.
He might miss any. But he hasn't had any of the lead into this.
Not
Now,
at
I
all.
know the other drivers don't necessarily get lots of time. Mind you, 200 laps is a lot of time.
Phenomenal.
But even if his wrists come good, how good are they going to be in terms of driving a Formula 1 car? And it is hard. Like, I know people say it's easier these days, but it's still hard work to get through it, and you've got to have that sustained effort. So I think he's going to be under a bit of pressure, and I think that'll be the excuse that's used to start with. But it's not going to last all season, is it?
Oh, absolutely
We saw the same with Ricciardo last year. The excuse of him missing the test because of COVID ran for so long, but it couldn't stay on forever, could it? Who'll be the big improvers? I mean, Aston Martin, I think we both agree.
Yeah, are going to be the big improvers.
Are the big improvers. Yep. Outside of that,
it's Williams.
Williams.
Yep. I've always been downbeat on Williams for the last few years.
Well, you certainly have.
Yep, and I, rightly so. I think this is it. This is the first big step forward, and a big.
I'm usually the one that thinks that it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yep.
I think it's still a year away.
Okay,
I think James Vowles is going to take a while to get. They seem to be on track with some things, but I'm not. From what you hear coming out of the team, I'm not entirely sure that they're a really harmonious race team at the moment.
I think James Vowles will have an instant, immediate impact.
I couldn't agree more.
And it will translate to lap time straight onto track.
But I think that impact is going to mean that he needs to clear some people out, which means you've got to get people in.
Yep.
And I think that's going to take a little bit of time to change.
That's fair enough. Yep.
But I hope so.
Yes.
I actually think that they'll. I don't think we'll have a back marker this year. So I actually think they'll be part of everybody.
Just have
they'll just be the top
distant midfield.
I think there'll be a top. I think there'll be a slight underneath the top, and then I think everyone else.
Okay. Yep.
So for me, I'm going to go with Wang Yu Zhou for the biggest improver this year. I'm not going on a team, I'm going Zhou.
Yep.
I think that car is going to help him out this year.
Sure.
I think the year under his belt's going to really do him a good service. So Wang Yu Zhou, I think, is going to be our big improver this year.
Who's under the most pressure?
Oh, Perez. It has to be Perez, only for the fact that Ricciardo's sitting there.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be Perez. Who should it be?
It should be Tsunoda.
Correct. I
but
reckon.
It could be Hülkenberg.
Yeah, I don't mind that call.
He's had a fair few cracks at it now.
You're a bit downbeat about Hülkenberg here, aren't you?
I wouldn't say downbeat, but
Magnussen's sort of ruined him.
He has,
because Magnussen did what he's trying to do really well. Mind you, Magnussen wasn't gone for as long.
No.
But he did it better than anyone was ever expecting.
He got a pole, which was terrific too. But I think Hulk he's out, he's in, he's out, he's in, he's out, he's in. And he's back in.
Yeah.
He has to do something of quality, I want to say, for the majority of the season. I would want to see a consistent run. I don't know where in the field I'd say is okay, but I want to see a consistent run of results because
he should be matching Magnussen from about round 5 on.
Because there are young drivers, and I think for me personally, if he's just going to come in and pot around in 15th, 16th, 17th, I'd rather see a Jack Doohan or I'd rather see a Robert Schwartzman in having a go.
Yep.
And it could very well be the future.
Yeah, look, I don't mind that call at all. I think that is a wise call, and it's not like they've signed him up for a long term either. So it's very much a.
And look, there's probably people listening thinking but what about Alonso? Being the oldest person on the grid, almost, if not he actually is, but he brings incredible results.
Yeah,
so
and always has.
Always has. So that's where it's different. So yeah, I think inadvertently Hulk. Bit of pressure, but I think Yuki needs a big year. He really needs a big year.
Yeah, for me, absolutely. Yuki outside of Perez.
Yes. Yep.
Who wins F1.5?
Who wins F1.5?
The greatest championship going around.
It is the greatest championship going around.
For those new listeners who have jumped on board 2023 because because you've decided that you need more Formula 1 in your life and you've jumped on board.
Yep.
F1.5 is where we remove all the regular podium getters, the top teams who get all the extra points. If we remove them, who's the next best of the rest? And what the beauty of this is that it tells us who's the next best of the rest. Because points only go down to 10th, you actually get to discover who else would be picking up the points. Who's performing in those situations if they were in a better car.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a wonderful thing that you've brought on. Who's winning it?
Who's winning it? I'm going to back Valtteri to win it this year.
Really?
Yeah, I am, because he started on fire last year, did really, really well, and yeah, he's my dark horse to take it out.
I'm going with Ocon.
Okay, yeah.
Alpine, I think, is going to be the next team. I think Aston Martin are going to be out of F1.5.
I feel so too.
Lance Stroll might still get in, and so he might be the dark horse for it.
Yep.
He might be the dark horse for it. But I think Ocon. I'm not convinced with how Gasly's feeling with this car. It might take him a little bit to get into it.
To find out.
Yeah. So for me, that's a fairly sure bet, and Ocon generally does fairly well.
Sure.
With it, sort of, sometimes. And I'm not a big fan of him.
No.
What's an out there prediction?
An out there prediction?
Yep. A bit of a wacky one.
Bit of a wacky prediction. Yep. Albon to be inside the top 10 at season end.
Whoa, that is big. Oh, I don't mind that.
I'm quite happy with that too. I think inside the top 10 drivers, think Albon.
Really?
Yep.
Goodness me. My out there prediction is that we're going to see a driver change this year.
Okay.
For a permanent seat. We haven't seen that. When's the last time we saw a permanent seat change?
What do you mean by permanent seat?
Well, so we saw drivers change.
Oh, yeah.
Midway through the season, depending on funding with HRT cars and that sort of stuff.
Yes.
I actually think we're going to see a driver... Oh, actually... Red Bull's pulled the pin a few times.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
And they could be the ones.
Lots of times.
Maybe it's not out there enough. Maybe it's not out there enough.
It's quite a sensible call.
Oh, really? All right, let me work on it.
I'll work on it.
Probably not out there enough. Radio, let's hear your order.
Okay.
Let's hear your order. Who's winning the championship? You start at the top.
Am I going constructor or am I going driver?
Constructor, and then I'll get a first, second, third for drivers.
Okay, all right. So this is my order for constructor. It's going to be Red Bull, from Ferrari, from Aston.
Ooh. Wow.
From Mercedes.
Yep.
From Alpine. Then Alfa Romeo.
Alpine, Alfa Romeo, yep.
Then I'm going to go with AlphaTauri.
Yep.
Williams next.
Yep.
Haas. And McLaren.
Whoa. That is huge. Huge. Yeah, like I said before, my big thing is I don't think we're going to have a back marker.
No.
I think we're just going to have...
Just slow teams.
Yeah, I think we'll have teams that are regularly towards the back, but I don't think they're going to be absolutely cemented in there.
Sure.
For me, Red Bull's winning the constructor. No, I'll take that back. Ferrari's winning constructors.
Okay, fair.
Because of the Perez issue.
Sure.
And not that there is an issue, but I've created the issue.
Well and truly.
But, well, maybe he didn't come second last year.
If this episode goes any longer, he'll be sacked by the time we finish.
Well, I've already made that call.
I can see.
Yeah, but no, like Ferrari, like Perez, I mean, Max absolutely ran away with it. Perez didn't even come second last year. So there is a slight issue there. Ferrari just with consistency. I think their driver lineup is magnificent. And I think they're going to have the car to help them do that. Red Bull, second in constructors.
Okay.
Mercedes.
Yep.
Aston Martin.
Sure.
Alpine.
Yep.
Alfa Romeo.
Mm-hmm.
McLaren. Williams. Haas. AlphaTauri.
Gee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not convinced by AlphaTauri, as you
can
tell.
All right. Yeah. I can say.
Drivers' Championship.
All right, Drivers' Championship.
This is the easiest call of the season, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of the whole, it is Easy as.
It is. It's Max.
Yep, it is Max.
It is Max. It's Max from Charles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Top 3. Did you say top 3?
Mm.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's a bit boring, but I'm not going to disagree with you.
Okay, cool.
I think Sainz and Leclerc will be close.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it'll be a close battle. I don't think anyone's going to chase Max down.
Nah, not
I think, yeah, I think we'll see the teams converge on him, like I've said, but I can't see. I think he'll get the job done, and he's just such a class act now.
He
just seems so relaxed.
A realm of his own.
Yep, and that car just seems to be all about him at the moment.
Yep.
Very nicely. Any other predictions you want to make? That's all I've got for you.
No, that's it. We could predict till the cows come home.
Max was paying, last I checked, $1.76. Is that good value?
Yeah, it is, because
it's only good value though if you can put 10 grand on it.
Like literally right now, as we're speaking.
If you can get 10 grand on it,
because by Sunday he'll be like $1.10.
Well, the other option is you wait and you hope for a result. An out there result on Sunday.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he goes out for $2.
He DNFs and goes to $2,
Yeah. Or Ferrari managed to beat them like they did last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't see it happening, but you never know. Any news? The big news is the Stroll situation. So if you've been sleeping under a rock, Lance Stroll fell off his bike. Mountain biking, I believe. Dangerous sport. I can say I'm on, Lance. But yeah, so he fell off his bike, and so he's hurt himself. Yep. Now, the weirdest part of this whole situation is that Aston Martin aren't telling anybody what's going on.
Yep.
And it's only weird because there's no reason not to update everyone.
No.
It's not like someone's going to run past him and hit him in the wrist like they do with football, or if someone's carrying an injury in a sport, there's some contact.
That's exactly
People
right.
might take advantage of it.
Yep.
There's no taking advantage of this situation. So just update everyone. Has he broken a wrist?
Yeah.
Has he broken 2 wrists? Is he likely to be racing? Is he not likely to be racing? If he's been in the sim, tell us he's been in the sim, and we're seeing where he's at. At the moment, we're still hopeful that he's going to be racing.
Yep.
Don't go and announce all these things about Dragovic going to be his replacement, and then we're going to look at Seb after that, because that is something that's being put to them that they wouldn't say, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Just make up your mind. But just give a bit of information. If you're not sure, give that information out. It's a strange situation and a strange bit of information to be holding on to.
Yeah, I agree with you too.
And you wonder why they don't have a great deal of fandom and following.
Yeah, love, yep.
Because they're just not quite hitting the aspects of getting that information out to their fans who want to know these things. So, yeah, it's a bit of a strange situation, that one. Any other news?
So the 2 other bits of news come out just in the last couple of days, yesterday in fact, that the final chicane is going to be removed from the Spanish layout. Did we talk about that last
episode?
No, because they came out yesterday.
Yeah, it was definitely talked about a couple of weeks ago.
Was it? So the update
it was good to see that it's actually been confirmed.
Yeah, so the update to the track will be 18 metres shorter than previous layouts.
Yep.
New Tech Pro barriers will be introduced in the last 2 high-speed corners. We're going to have a widening of the runoff area in Turn 1, which is about 70 more metres.
Yep.
And a 5% incline.
Yep.
We're going to have new fencing.
Tech
Pro barriers,
because everyone's going to be going through faster. Yep.
Yeah, repainting and replacing of curbs and tyres, etc., etc. So that's not too bad. So that's the first time since 2007 that we haven't had that chicane in there.
Yep. Anything else?
No, that's sort of it in terms. I think, really, the news is really testing, isn't it?
It absolutely
That's the
is.
news, all in a nutshell.
Yep. Last thing, get on board fantasy. Keep it listening out. So we're going to. Oh, actually, we've got to talk about the first race, but we're going to the first race weekend this weekend, and it's going to be absolutely magnificent. Can't wait to get into that action.
Literally going to watch every minute. Every minute.
Live?
Yes, you know me. That's a silly question.
You're not going to watch practice at 2 a.m.
I might
on Friday night.
I might.
You won't.
I might.
You will watch it on replay.
Yeah, I probably will.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
It's weird, though, that they've practiced there, tested there, and then they're going back to do some practice.
Yeah, it'd be silly.
I find the practice sessions a little weird. Would it not have been a great spot to put a sprint race in? To remove one of those practice sessions?
Yeah, maybe.
Start the season with one practice session.
Don't bring me down with sprint race talk.
You liked it last year. You just forget. Yeah. Into qualifying, and all of a sudden you've got action straight away first round. I think they've missed a trick there.
Or we could just go somewhere else or test somewhere else.
No.
Maybe. Don't mention sprint race, please.
But, yeah, so anyway, we're... You really got upset about that one.
Yeah, I don't like sprint race.
But the thing is, you did.
I know, but... Anyway.
But you've got until qualifying to get your team in is where we're going with that.
Yeah, all right.
So you've got to qualifying to get your team in. Yeah, that's where we're at. But also have a listen out for later in the week. We're going to be announcing our teams.
Yes, we are. I'm very excited.
And we'll be looking at all those bits and pieces and trying to go through a few of the rule changes.
Rule change. Very excited for the rule changes.
Yeah. And so anyway, listen out for that one.
Yep.
Formula One's back, mate. It is fantastic.
I'm so excited. I wish it was Friday now.
It is. It will be before we know it.
I know.
And we'll be back next week with a podcast discussing the first race of the season, and then we've got another one coming up straight away. Whoa. It is. Yes.
And then we'll be off to Australia.
Yes. Well, we'll be in Australia, but off to...
We're in Australia all the time because we live here.
Yep. It's it's going to be wonderful. So, yep, have a listen out for that, and we look forward to talking to you again about Formula One soon. Enjoy season 2023. Goodbye.